Hello, and welcome to my vehicle rig demonstration for Art303 module. This model and rig were created for a fictional VFX video promoting motorsports. As such, the design is meant to imitate an exciting concept car that is not entirely realistic, but still finished to such detail that piques curiosity. I have ensured that the outliner is neatly organized into groups and appropriately named, and the control shapes are color-coded to improve usability, and only the channels that are meant to be animated are left unlocked. Starting from the top of the hierarchy, the master root control allows to easily position the rig and is also used for the calculation of an automatic wheel rotation that I will explain further on. Next up, we have a body control shape that allows the body of the vehicle to move independently in Y-axis and rotate along the X and Z axes. I have set up limits for these attributes to prevent clipping and not to overdrive the suspension. Another driver for the suspension are individual wheel controllers that would be used to track the contact with a surface. The most interesting controller is the drive control, where we can find the steering attribute, which rotates the wheels and the steering wheel itself. Additionally, thanks to the steer drive attribute, the wheels rotate along an X-axis as well, making the motion more realistic. When the drive controller is moved along the forward-facing Z-axis, the wheels rotate automatically. However, this automatic rotation can be always overridden by front and rear wheel spin attributes. The last custom attribute I have set up on the drive controller is a simple on-off switch for the lights. Finally, the front and rear axis controllers allow for animation of skidding or sliding motion along the Y-axis. When I was planning the project, I set out to research the cantilever suspension that I wanted to implement in my model. But since the only part of the suspension that is clearly visible are the front shock absorbers, I did not model the internal parts to great detail. Unfortunately, I was not able to set up the joints in a way that would be true to the initial design. Instead, I have set up the suspension with M constraints, and then to drive the shock absorbers I used the node editor and blend shapes with the driven keys for springs. This means that my suspension is reactive as I wanted, but I would need to do additional setup for simulating the dynamics. Next requirement were the wheels to roll automatically, which I have managed, but perhaps to take the true advantage of that, I would need to do additional setup so the vehicle follows a motion path and steers accordingly. Apart from the tutorials on my learning space, I have followed a tutorial series from Simon Mills on how to rig a vehicle in Maya that includes the expression used to drive the automatic wheel rotation. Another great source was a tutorial from Veronica Morera about the spring rigging, which helped me to set up the deformation as I wanted. At the end, I think the project was successful. The rig is usable, even though I was not able to make some of the features that I have initially envisioned, and I was able to learn much about the entire rigging process.